NASCAR. The rules are clear, but some drivers push them to the limit. From cutting corners to dangerous moves of the racetrack, these rule breakers don't just risk a penalty, they risk chaos and even a suspension sometimes. We're going to be diving into the most shocking moments where drivers ignored the rules and faced a black flag or even a suspension. Just like when Kevin Harvick claimed the checkered flag at Las Vegas, but really, he got his win taken away from him and all the points for cheating.
See that right rear of that forged glass? Is it bowed down?
Yep, kind of where the jack, between the orange jack screw and the black lining, it's bowed from the right side of the jack screw over.
Yeah, right by the K. When he's up to speed, I think pushes down about, I don't know, 2 inches, 3 inches.
It was pretty ironic that Kevin Harvick won, and somebody on Reddit posted a screenshot of the picture they took from their TV. NASCAR handed down a hefty penalty to Kevin Harvick just 2 days later, with the window braces not fully attached, leaving room for the air to go over the spoiler, helped Kevin Harvick win the race. So NASCAR handed down the penalty, removing his win and all the points. Kevin Harvick would still go on to win multiple races in 2018, but man, was it a shocking thing to see happen. This was the first penalty of its kind.
Ooh, he almost got taken there. Mike Wallace moved up on him a little. Oh, Greg Sachs getting tagged. He comes right in front of car number 3, and moving by is car number 4. Ernie Irvan got through it. Hard on the brakes was Dale Earnhardt, who brings out a caution here. What do you think of that one, Bonnet?
Well, I tell you, they went up behind him, got into him. They got together, come off turn 4, give him a little shove, turned around right there.
Now, this is an interesting situation. The flag is out, right, for the car that spun, which is Sachs. The leader by 15 seconds was Jarrett, but after a caution, this should bring Earnhardt, who tapped the 68 right up on his rear bumper. Let's see what NASCAR is going to do here. You see first that Ernie Irvan incident as Mike Wallace came up a bit, and here comes Earnhardt. He's been trying for 6 laps to deal with Sachs. Just gets a little piece of the back end. Around comes Sachs, directly down in front of Earnhardt. Whoa, on the bridle there. Slows her down, does not make contact, but caution is out. This at lap 328. It happened in lap 327. 1 lap penalty on Earnhardt. Let's go to Randy, who's down there in his pit.
Well, this team is absolutely irate. Earnhardt came over the radio, guys. He said he never touched him. So I don't know what the camera can see from there, but Earnhardt swears he never touched him. Now, we talked a bit about whether or not they can go the distance. Earnhardt's obviously going to lose a lap here. Here goes the caution car. The first one is by him. As far as guys being able to go the distance, the 4 car thinks they can. Now, we got to wait and see if Earnhardt can get back out front here on a restart and catch a caution to be back in contention. But Earnhardt is definitely upset.
And so is Richard Childress.
Things you cannot do in today's NASCAR world that you could do back in the 90s. And this is a couple things. You can intentionally wreck somebody and be penalized mid-race. I feel like we don't see that very often. There are definitely accidents on the racetrack that people do nowadays that don't get penalized when they wreck somebody in the middle of the race. But Dale Sr. did this to a lapped car in 1993, and he was penalized for 1 lap. But you know what's even crazier about all of this? Even though he was penalized for 1 lap for intentionally wrecking a lap car, Dale Earnhardt Sr. was able to regain his track position and pick up the win that night for the Coca-Cola 600. This just proves how talented Dale Sr. was and how stout that team was at that time.
Watch the 6 of David Ragan. He is the leader right there on the outside. He must maintain lane position to the start-finish line for this to be a legal start. When he changes lanes, he has violated NASCAR procedure, and he'll get a black flag.
They timed it perfectly. They just went too soon.
Yes.
They just needed to wait a few more seconds. And then back in here, it just gets wadded up.
Now, David Ragan in the 6th, there you see his crew chief, Drew Blickensderfer. He was ignoring the black flag, and the last time by, they gave him the black flag with the white cross, which means you can keep going, but we're not going to score you, but we're hearing he will come to pit road this time.
They usually give you 3 laps, and I mean, they don't have to even do that these days. That was back in the day when we couldn't communicate, but they usually give you 3 laps to respond.
It is the leader's responsibility to bring the field down at speed and start the race on the flag, the signal from the starter. But NASCAR rules, you must maintain lane position until you cross the start-finish line, and Ragan simply changed lanes too soon. Kenseth cleared by Logano. Maybe no. Kenseth takes him out. Logano into the wall. Caution comes out and the crowd roars. Helmets coming off. This is what just took place.
Clearly the 22 is lapping the 20, and 20 obviously intentionally wrecked him, and like what happened the week before was more than 2 weeks before was more than it should have been, and just flat wrecked him.
Matt Kenseth already not having the day that he wanted to have.
Matt Kenseth gave one of the best paybacks a driver has ever seen in NASCAR history. Kenseth full throttle Joey Logano video game style moved in the wall at Martinsville, ending both of their races. Matt Kenseth was suspended for the next 2 races, but needless to say, everybody was happy Matt Kenseth gave Joey Logano a piece of his own medicine. Austin Hill gets wrecked by Johnny Sauter under caution in the NASCAR Truck Series race, and Johnny Sauter is then suspended for 1 race after this horrific crash.
Sauter for that. Yes, indeed. So here is Sauter coming back to get Hill after Hill had moved Johnny and put Johnny into the wall.
I think
Johnny Sauter's day is done.
It's funny that the 2 owners in the NASCAR Cup Series right now that are drivers are Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski. Back in the late 2000s, when Brad Keselowski was trying to make a name for himself in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Denny Hamlin, I don't think, liked the way Brad Keselowski raced. He was always caught up in accidents or being roughed around by Brad Keselowski. So at the end of the season, the very last race of the year, Denny Hamlin wanted to show Brad Keselowski how upset he was at how he had been raced basically the entire 2009 season. So he spun Keselowski out and then was immediately penalized by NASCAR. Hamlin after the race would make some hilarious comments saying he thought he won the race. Everybody was so happy that what he did to Keselowski, finally somebody gave him a taste of his own medicine. But this did not fix their relationship. Still, multiple times after this, years later, they would still get into it. But this is basically where the drama between Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski started.
Found out that Denny Hamlin is going to get black flag and held 1 lap for aggressive driving. So it is going to cost him a chance at possibly winning this race. His best finish in 6 starts in 09 was 11th last week, and this isn't going to help it at all. We can also tell you that the 81 gets the lucky dog of Blake Cook. Remember, he brought out the other red caution period we had, our second one. And there he is. And the message from NASCAR is this is now enough. They have warned both cars, the 11 and the 88. There will be no more of this today. Now
I don't really hold any grudges, and I'm ready to move on. I've already moved on. So hopefully he feels the same way. I don't know. I got a feeling when he wakes up in the morning that he's not going to feel any better about himself. He's got a lot of problems, and on and off the racetrack, and I don't think spinning me is going to make him happy. So
I feel great right now. It was well worth it. His son was bad at that point, and I'll use that as my catalyst or excuse. But the fact is, I wasn't going to give him an inch, and I thought after I went down pit road, I'd won the race. I've never seen so many crews applaud and give the thumbs up on the way by. It just shows you all the cars that he's torn up in the past. All the teams just, they feel a little redemption anyway. But we'll never be even in that sense.
Chase Briscoe wildly is off into the grass.
14 knows to stop and go. Shortcutting, of course.
He pushed us off the racetrack. Say we owe him a stop and go in turn 10. Stop and go turn 10. 14 had to stop and go. Don't worry about him.
Briscoe pulls right up on the rear of Denny Hamlin.
Pushing you. He's wrecking us.
The leader, Denny Hamlin, spins.
The 14 was clearly under penalty for cutting the course, and then he wrecked you.
Close to 14. Close a pass-through at this time.
Now they want us to do a pass-through.
The inaugural race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway's road course race was a disaster For one, the curb broke in the middle of the race, and then the end had a very big controversial finish. All 3 leaders would go into turn number 1, 3 wide, and Briscoe would go off course. This would immediately penalize Chase Briscoe because you're not allowed to go off the course and regain your track position. And that's what Briscoe did. He had to do a stop and go, but he blamed Denny Hamlin for the accident. So he got in the back of Denny Hamlin later in the same lap and spun him out for the lead. Briscoe was then black flagged and basically disqualified to the last car on the lead lap, and third placed AJ Allmendinger would retain the lead. Allmendinger would go on to win the race. This race was just a fiasco of a finish, and it was pretty controversial.
The question has, did he come too far to the right? I was under the impression you could make as big an arc as possible. The argument might be that he actually entered the racetrack itself once you get to that second white line. If we back that up one more time, between the 2 corners, there's 2 white lines on the racetrack. One is kind of the top of the access road. The other one is the apron of the racetrack. Marty.
Well, Steve, this team has been flawless on pit road for a long time. They got a speeding penalty for the first time in 90-plus races last week, and this is what Alan Gustafson wants clarification on, Steve. Right here, he wants to know, was it when we came up in the center of the corner? And right now, they're telling him it was in turn 2. That's where your blend line penalty came from, but Alan Gustafson still wants to talk to officials to understand why that...
I feel like this is a kind of a gray area here. I understand what Elliott did was wrong, but I was at that Indianapolis race and other cars were actually doing the exact same thing. Elliott may have been penalized because he was effectively going to be the race leader at the time until Denny Hamlin passed him. So when you're looking more at the front, maybe NASCAR was like, hey, we need to penalize him because this is wrong, but this was still extremely uncalled for them not to do it to everybody else. I understand if the rule is for everybody, then they need to call it for everybody. There's multiple times other people did this and didn't get penalized. But Chase Elliott did merge back up on the racetrack above the line and came back down. This is something you cannot do, and he was black flagged for it immediately. Controversy could surround any race at any time. During the 2011 Budweiser shootout, Denny Hamlin attempted to pass Ryan Newman as he was potentially shoved below the yellow line. In NASCAR, you must not pass anybody below the yellow line or you will be black flagged. But if you push somebody below the yellow line, you will be the one black flagged. Did Ryan Newman push Denny Hamlin below the line? Or did Denny Hamlin go down there and pass Ryan Newman? Ultimately, they gave the win to Kurt Busch, and it was for no points, so it really didn't matter, but it was still controversial.
Yeah, you got to. I mean, you know, that yellow line's there to protect us and the fans and the stand safety, and you know, I just chose to take the safer route. You know, a win in a shootout's not worth you know, sending the 39 through the grandstands. And for me, as fast as what we're running, if I get into his left rear, that car will go airborne. So for me, it's just it was a tough position. I probably should have went high just to avoid that whole thing, but just, you know, I was faced with a decision, and obviously I didn't want to have contact with 39.
I feel like this was DEI's last straw, and I wasn't even going to say last straw because, you know, they folded and they just gave up. This was their last hope, and it was when Regan Smith was trying to pass Tony Stewart to win the Talladega Fall race. Regan Smith crossed the start-finish line first, but he was pushed under the line by Tony Stewart, and apparently Tony Stewart did not get black flagged, even though he was the one that forced Regan Smith below the line. You cannot go below the double yellow line to pass somebody in the last lap or in general at plate tracks. And Regan Smith did that and got penalized. But Tony Stewart should have also got penalized for pushing Smith below the line.
A lot of blocking right here. They've got to run on him. Got to run. Here they come. I can't go down there and do that, though.
Actually, I think it's legal on the last lap.
He might have got it right there.
Here's the replay again. Watch a 0-1.
And he got forced down there. I mean, Tony Stewart actually forced him down a little bit.
Well, yeah, if you're going to consider that he only...
Yeah.
They are saying Tony Stewart has won the race. Tony Stewart is the official winner here at Talladega. They would not allow that pass below the yellow line.
That's the only way that can be. You can't race one way for 187 laps and change on the last lap.
That's what you can't do. You can't let that heart rate get up. You can't start getting shaky. Oh, but you can watch the leaders in front of you make contact and keep gaining on them.
Contact, leaning on each other.
Off track. He's going to spin right in front of Ankrum. Which way is he going to go?
And those are teammates.
And if you're Williams Sawalich, you have to be on offense. If you're just trying to play defense, you're going to get past. He's got to try to attack here and get by Dean Thompson, as you see. Oh, a little retaliation, a lot of retaliation here.
Contact. Now they're both in the sand trap. Teammates.
As teammates. That's when it gets tricky here. I don't know that I like that there, Jamie.
I don't like it at all.
What a disgusting move by Sean Higurani. He took out his teammate Dean Thompson in payback in the Arca series. Now that's even dumb in itself because Arca doesn't mean as much as like the Cup series. But to get your revenge on a teammate, that makes the situation even worse. But his repercussions were pretty severe. He got suspended for one race, and the next race was Iowa, and he got suspended for that one, and he was placed on probation for the entire year. You rarely see that now in NASCAR, but man, this is something that definitely was valid because his actions were disgusting on the racetrack.
He can't do it in 1 and 2. Logano looks back. He has a car length now. Joey Logano through 3 and 4 for the final time. There's the contact. He does get to him. The 11 on the inside. He gets into the wall. Dillon's going to win it at the line.
In the controversial finish at Richmond in 2024, Austin Dillon sends it in on Joey Logano, intentionally wrecking him and almost spinning himself out in the process. When he did that, it slowed himself down and Denny Hamlin went to pass him. He would right hook Denny Hamlin into the wall, making hard contact, hitting his door flush with the outside wall. This would infuriate Denny Hamlin, NASCAR, and Joey Logano, where Joey Logano actually almost ran over Austin Dillon's family members in the middle of pit road, something you cannot do. Logano was fined for his actions, Dillon's win was taken away, and he was not allowed to keep his playoff position, but he was able to keep the trophy. This was just a cluster of a race. This has got to be the icing on the cake for the worst and most rare penalties you'll ever see. Jimmy Johnson was fined $10,000 for blocking the little Powerade box that goes on top of his car with his own Lowe's sponsorship. He was fined $10,000 after his victory at Pocono.
I want you guys to watch closely. This is the sign that Jimmy Johnson puts on the car to block the bottle of Powerade. And this is what he got $10,000 fine for, was blocking that little blue bottle in the background. Now, here's the key part. This is the Zapruder film. You see that guy in the background back there? The guy with the impossibly perfect hair and the savage tan? That's Dave Finley. He works for NASCAR. Watch the sign. Did you see this? Did we see the sign fall off the car? Dave Finley picked that sign up and put it back up there. He's just as guilty. Watch again closely. Excuse me.
There falls off the car.
Onto the car.
And he puts it
back onto the car.
Mike Helton went to the drivers' meeting somewhere recently in New Hampshire and said, let's respect the sponsors that are in the sport, because drivers had been knocked that had
there are ways around this. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but there are ways around this. Let me tell you something.
I'm just setting the table.
Yeah, I know, Steve.
Who is introducing the problem here? Think about it. Who is causing the problem?
Who's causing the problem, David, is that NASCAR has sold the same real estate to two different entities.
Who is bringing that bottle into Victory Lane?
NASCAR.
So who is introducing the problem? NASCAR. There's no team bringing that bottle in there. There's no track bringing that bottle in there. There's no.
There he knocked it over.
There's no PR person bringing it in there. NASCAR is bringing that sponsor conflict to Victory Lane. That's the problem.
The 2013 NASCAR Chase was the last original chase format we had. We had 12 drivers make it in, 2 wildcard 10 on points. But Clint Bowyer kind of ruined it for everybody. He was trying to help his teammate Martin Truex Jr. get into the playoffs that year, and he would intentionally spin to bring out a caution. Clint Bowyer's a horrible liar. Just look at his face. You can obviously tell he's not lying. You can obviously tell he's not telling the truth, and it was obvious by the radio communication between driver and team. NASCAR would immediately take Bowyer and Truex out of the playoffs and replace him with Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon was currently the outside man looking in, so Gordon was added to the 13th seed in the playoffs that year. Clint Bowyer even tried to say Dale Jr. spun him out, but Jr. never even touched him.
Back Crampton has to race Wilton to get by. Oh, Coy gives around he goes.
Round he goes, spinning around, and caution will come out again, and that'll be the 11th caution flag. Watch the 6, the 20.
Little bit of contact there, a little bit of contact, and around Coy goes.
Well, Jerry, Kevin Harvick's on his way to the garage. He's done for the day, not because he's tired of racing, but because NASCAR said you're not going to race anymore. And here's the reason. Not because he spun Coy Gibbs, but because he said on the radio before it happened, I'm going to go get him. So it was definitely intentional. NASCAR heard it on the radio, and they've said, Kevin, you're done for the day.
During the 2002 truck race in Martinsville, Kevin Harvick got suspended for the Cup race after crashing Coy Gibbs in the Truck Series. This is one and only the few times that a NASCAR Cup Series driver has been suspended for doing something on the racetrack in another racing series.
41 on pit road, Steve. He broke the rules.
Absolutely. So it was even reminded again to the drivers this morning in the drivers' meeting that you cannot pass the pace car on pit entry. The 41 of Kurt Busch hangs a left right here, the leader of the race. As he comes to pit road, you cannot pass the pace car. Look, he accelerates to the pit entry lane right there, clearly ahead of the pace car. We've seen Jimmy Johnson penalized for this. The 78 of Martin Truex Jr. was penalized for this at this specific racetrack. This is something that they were just reminded this morning.
Earnhardt leads this race with just a little less than 100 laps to go, and the number 26 car of Brett Bodine has come in for what could be his final pit stop.
We pitted a little early, got our fresh tires. Now we're a lap behind because of the green flag stop, but then the leaders all started to pit.
It kind of happened late in the race through a cycle of some green flag pit stops with the caution coming out.
Spin down in turn 1, Kenny Wallace.
Kenny Wallace, with about 80 laps to go, he gets into a crash, and that brings out the caution. Well, here comes the pace car. The pace car picks up Dale Earnhardt as the leader. Earnhardt was behind Bodine.
The confusion began late in the race when those that were running up front made green flag pit stops. That gave the lead to Brett Bodine, and then the yellow came out. Now watch closely on the left as the green car of Bodine will pass by, and the pace car instead picks up Dale Earnhardt as the leader.
What happened was we had lapped Brett on the racetrack. A caution came out, and theoretically, he was on the tail end of the lead lap.
26, I want you to, you're going to end up being the leader.
18 laps of caution are going on now because NASCAR is trying to figure out where the scoring error was.
Brett was raising Kane on the radio. Diane Bodine, Brett's wife at that time, was our scoring for us in the pits, and I stood right beside her. She's beat me on the shoulder.
There was hollering and cussing and screaming all up and down pit road with every team member that was on the crew. It was clearly a timing and scoring mistake that NASCAR made.
You know, we didn't have a monitor with everybody's car and what lap time they're running and what position they're in. We didn't have any of that, so it was very easy to have scoring disputes.
Pace car then picks up Brett Bodine, makes him the leader. Well, he's got fresher tires than anybody else, and he's been running well all day anyway.
The NASCAR scorers have sorted out the standings and determined that Brett Bodine, the number 26, is the leader, followed by Darrell Waltrip.
Certainly, you can ask Larry McReynolds. He was a crew chief, and now that we work together, the truth be known. But they knew they weren't leading the race.
Certainly, I question it. We got to be realistic. I question how did we get the lead here? But we had good enough race car to drive away from the two guys that had led a big part of that race.
Can Brett Bodine hold on for his first Winston Cup win? He's going to do it. Brett Bodine wins the first Union 400.
Everybody was running around chaotic. I was talking to my scorer, Linda Monroe, and I said, what are they saying up there? And they said, Brett won the race. And she said, I'm protesting, and I'm telling them that he didn't, but Morris Midkiff will not listen. He said, Brett Bodine won this race. End of story. And he was the authority.
we had a good car. No one wanted to admit it, we had a good car. You know, if it would have been a situation where we truly lucked into it, then that would have been different. But we deserved to win that race because of our on-track performance.
Oh, trouble, 12 car around.
Ryan Newman,
Stop car.
Somebody over here coming off turn.
So he said somebody spun him.
I believe he was referring to 24, possibly.
It's John Erickson spotter for Ryan Newman. Oh, he got the wall first. Off turn 2.
I saw him hit the wall earlier, and then he's going to come back between 1 and 2, and this is off turn 4, so he's going to make it here. We know that.
He bounced off the wall again.
Oh, bouncing off the wall again.
And he kind of bounced off Jeff.
Yes, he did.
And Jeff said, you know what? I don't appreciate that.
That's exactly what he said.
That bounce off the wall off turn 4 and into the 24 did some pretty good looking damage to that wheel, that fender around. Jeff Gordon's being black flagged.
There's a 12 car hitting the wall off turn 2.
Well, I'm not sure I understand.
One of the more forgotten penalties that Jeff Gordon ever received in NASCAR was when he intentionally crashed Ryan Newman at Rockingham in 2003. Gordon and Newman were racing hard down the backstretch. They made contact. Going into turn 3 and 4, they would drive up off the corner, and they would make even more contacts, sending Gordon into an upset moment. Gordon would head back into turns 1 and 2 and completely wipe Ryan Newman out. This would spin Newman down the backstretch, and NASCAR didn't like it. They would immediately call Jeff Gordon down to pit road and penalize him.
Somebody missed the turn entirely.
3 wide, 4 wide for second. Here comes Austin Cindric. Ryan Blaney sideways in front of the field.
Side by side up front, though. Chastain, he's right there. They're going side by side through the kink.
And around goes the 1. He's able to get by the 8.
Unbelievable.
Sideways, though. That's going to allow Reddick to get a run on him. Lost momentum on corner exit.
A lot of dirt and debris on the tires.
Chastain went off the track. So he did that access road to get back on track. Now,
I am sure, and all the places you can race here, you were looking for a spot there at the end. What were you thinking?
What do you mean, where?
Taking the access road there and getting off course there.
Oh, just trying not to be in the carnage there in turn 1. I thought we were 4 wide and couldn't go any farther right, and just decided to take the NASCAR access lane out there.
Ross Chastain did one of the smartest but illegal things to do at a road course, and again, it was at Indianapolis. Man, this road course just wasn't it for NASCAR. There was a massive, clog heading into turn number 1, and Ross Chastain was like, I don't want to wreck. So what does he do? He just drives off course and takes the access road and comes back as basically the leader. NASCAR would immediately be like, no, you cannot do this. And Ross Chastain had a valid answer, I was going to avoid a wreck. But I think his way of going about it was wrong and saying, I had to do what I had to do, and he didn't really understand the reasoning. But long story short, Ross Chastain was placed last on the lead lap for cutting the course, basically. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. Also, if you've liked this video, I'm pretty sure these videos will catch your eye also.